You ready?
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
Okay. Shalom, folks. Welcome to this edition of Roundtable Discourse. All praises to the Father, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Shout out to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Greetings, peace, and blessings. Go ahead, Brother Mike. You can take it over.
So, Shalom, welcome, for coming out. This is part 2, so I thought it would be expedient.
You're a little bit low, brother.
I'm low?
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, my bad.
There you go.
Okay, cool. I thought it would be good just to, kind of do a brief recap, since we're on part 2, just a brief recap on what we covered on part 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, we went over, the parting of the land in Joel 3 and 2, as well as, we went over the Israelites being scattered throughout all nations, and Jerusalem being trodden down after the death of Yahushua. That's Luke 21. That happened in 70 AD, so we went over that. And then we did a brief lesson on who Esau is and who Ishmael is as well, and talked about them being enemies of the nation of Israel due to being rejected by God. So we're going to pick up here today, and we're actually going to go back to a verse that we started on last time, but we're going to expound on it this time. So Leo, if you can grab Deuteronomy 28:64.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, either even wood and stone.
So we went over this briefly last time, that the wood represents the cross of Christianity and the stone represents the Kaaba stone. When it talks about us serving them in other lands, this would actually represent slaveries that we went into as well. So I'm going to actually start out historically covering the sub-Saharan slave trade, or the Muslim slave trade, and that would be Ishmael's descendants. So I have an article that I'm going to have Leo pull up that talks about it, and I'm going to have him read a couple of things. But before that, I just had a couple of history points just to make. So I'm going to read this real quick. Historians estimate that between 650 AD and 1960, that 10 to 18 million people were enslaved by Arab slave traders and taken from Africa across the Red Sea, Indian Ocean, and Sahara Desert. Toward the 18th and 19th centuries, the flow of Bantu slaves from East Africa increased. The spread of Islam played a major role in this slave trade. So if you can go to that article, just so people can see it, it should be just the first 3 paragraphs I want you to read.
The one that says Azareth?
Oh, no.
I have...
Salaki, I don't think I sent you this one. Let me send it to you real quick.
Okay.
That is my bad. All right, I just sent it to you.
Okay, let me try to pull it up.
Yeah, for now, I just want the first 3 paragraphs.
Okay, forgotten slavery, the Arab Muslim slave trade. Over the years, the global focus and discourse on slavery has concentrated on the transatlantic trade that featured the Americas and European merchants. On the other, one other trade has, however, remained largely ignored, at times even treated as a taboo subject, despite being a key component of African history, owning its devastating impact it had on the continent, its generations, and a people's way of life. The Arab Muslim slave trade, also known as the Trans Sahara trade or East slave trade, is billed as the longest, having happened for more than 1,300 years, while taking millions of Africans away from their continent to work in foreign land in the most inhumane conditions. Scholars have christened it a vile genocide, attributing the tagline to the most humiliating and near death experiences slaves were subjected to, from capture in slave markets to labor fields abroad, the harrowing journey in between.
So I want to point make at this point that you know this is one of the longest slave trades. Is that it's stated in the article as well, 1,300 years, but yet it's never discussed or taught in school. So it's crazy, but it's like a lot of digging and research that we have to do to learn our own history. And the only other thing I want you to get from this article, it should be towards the end, just the first two paragraphs where it talks about like the practice of what they did to the male slaves, just to show the brutality of this slave trade.
Where would that be?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. It should be around the middle of the article.
Okay, I see it. Male slaves would work as field workers or guards at the harems to ensure they never reproduce in case they got intimate with their fellow female slaves. The men and boys were castrated and made eunuchs in brutal operation where majority would lose their lives in the process. The practice of castration on black male slaves in the most inhumane manner altered an entire generation of these men, as these men could not reproduce. The Arab masters seared children with their black female slaves, or sired. This devastation by the men saw those who survived committing suicide. This development explains the modern black Arabs who are still trapped by history, said Liberty Mukomo, a lecturer at the University of Nairobi Institute of Diplomacy and International Studies. Even as okay, go ahead.
My bad. Yeah, no. So they were doing really drastically horrible things to us during that slave trade. So that's just a missing part of history that we never really like hear about. And as well, I did want to go now into like more so the transatlantic slave trade. So I'm gonna go through a couple of history, a little bit of history. If you can grab Second Ezra 13, 40 through 45, and just hold that real quick. But
which chapter?
Chapter 13 of Second Ezra, and verse 40. But hold that for a second. I want to read these historical facts first.
Okay.
So on June 18th, 1452, Pope Nicholas V authorized Alfonso V of Portugal to conquer pagans, putting them into perpetual servitude. The letter was called Dum Diversas, or Dum Diversas. It's no B, but so this was a Catholic statement or letter that got put out to basically legalize them putting people in slavery based on what they deemed as paganism. And then next, the other point I wanted to make is there was the papal bull of 1493, and this was by Rodrigo Borgia, also known as Pope Alexander VI, and he authorized Spain and Portugal to colonize and enslave the Americas and its native people. And it was called the Inter Cactera. So this was another Catholic again. And actually, and we'll be remember the name Rodrigo Borgia because we'll actually be covering him a little bit in the scriptures as well. But at this point, Leo, can you bring out that passage in Esdras?
Oh, yeah, shoot. One sec. I forgot to even share my screen. One sec. Yeah, I'll bring it out. All right. Should be screen sharing now. Okay. Second Ezra chapter 13, verse
40 through 45.
Okay. Those are the 10 tribes which are carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of O.C., the king, whom Salamarzar, the king of Assyria, led away captive and carried them over the waters. And so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might keep their statutes which were never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by a narrow places of the river. For the most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For though the country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half, and the same region is called Azareth.
All right, Con. So if you can, pull up that article about Arsareth from the encyclopedia. And I just wanted to make this point real quick. This is how we know that the northern kingdom of Israel was here in the Americas before, they got conquered by the Europeans. Hey, Shalom, King Ben.
Shalom. Shalom, family. Where do you want me to start from?
Hey, Shalom. You can really just
read the whole. Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, yes, it's on one page. Okay. Azareth, the name land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration, according to 4th Ezra, chapter 13, 45, or we can call it 2nd Ezra. Columbus identified America with this land. See K. Searling's Christopher Columbus, translated by Dr. C. Gross, page 15. The name, and has been suggested by Schiller Cisney, is taken from Deuteronomy 29, 24 through 27. Because they forsook the covenant of the Lord and went and served other gods, the Lord rooted them out of their land and cast them to another land, Ezareth, as this day. This passage is made to refer in Mishnah Sanah to the 10 tribes compared Tosef Sanah 12, 13, 12. There's a bunch of references. Let me go ahead and start here. But different opinions are expressed by Akib Eleazar. The traditions are rather confused as to the name, whether the 10 tribes may be expected to return or not. Since this point is not determined in scriptural verse, one of them takes the words as this day to signify as the day goes, but does not return, so shall they who are cast off not return. The other explains the words as the day begins with darkness of the night, but turns into day, so shall darkness of their banishment be turned into bright daylight. The 4th book of Ezra took the latter view, which was adopted also by R. Judah Hanasi in the Tosefta, who refers to Isaiah 27:13.
So at this point, can you pull up the Christopher Columbus article I sent you from the Britannica? I'll read it, but I'll tell you where to go. Yeah, it should be.
Hold on. Yeah, I gotta pull it up. I gotta type it in because.
You're good. I understand.
All right, I'm here.
All right, Khan. So when you go to it should be in the written sources, right? You have to scroll almost all the way back down to like the bottom of that portion. It does mention something again about like the Bible, specifically Second Esdras. I'm gonna read it real quick. It says, a striking manifestation of his sensibilities is the Book of Prophecies. These are books of Christopher Columbus, a collection of pronouncements largely taken from the Bible and seeming to bear directly on his role in the Western voyages. The book was probably compiled by Columbus and his friend Carthusian Friar Gaspar Garcia between September 1501 and March 1502. So then when you scroll down just a little farther, there's going to be a part where it talks about calculations. And there's a point in here I wanted to grab as well, because this is all documented history. And I know we had an entire episode about, like, you know, the authority that the Apocrypha holds, but this is just more proof that it's a real book, because you know, even Columbus used it to find the Americas, and we're going to continue to get, you know, go into the scriptures on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in that paragraph, where is it? All right, I see it. When it goes to calculations, like how he found it, there's a part where it reads, Columbus also read the Seer Salathio to Ezra in the books of Esdras from the Apocrypha, especially Second Esdras 6:42, in which the prophet states that the earth is 6 parts land to 1 of water, thus reinforcing ideas of a portion of land to sea crossing. So basically, this is how he got his calculations to get to the Americas. So, Leo, if you can grab Second Ezra 6 and 42, because this is the one that they were referencing.
If you need me to read, I'm available whenever.
All right. I mean, I got it right here. This is 2 Ezra 6:42. Upon the 3rd day thou didst command that the waters should be gathered in the 7th part of the earth. 6 parts hast thou dried up and kept them, to the intent that of these some being planted of God and tilled might serve thee.
So, you know, when you study like geography, these 6 parts of land that it's referring to are Australia, Europe, Africa, America, Antarctica, and Asia. Those would be the 6 parts of land that it's referring to. So Salakia. So Columbus basically used that to base his understanding that there was another part of the earth that was not discovered yet. So, you know, a lot of his discoveries came from the book of Esdras. The next thing I wanted to get, Ben, you said you're available to read, so I'll give you this one. Can you get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14? Start at verse 1, just 1 through 5.
So Wisdom of Solomon 14, and you said you want 1 through 5?
Come.
This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14 and start from the top. It says, again, one preparing himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves, calleth upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him.
Con, hold on. Hold it right there. So the piece of wood that it's referring to there is the cross. It's understood that Columbus was a Christian, he believed in Christianity. So, or at least like the version that they had in those days. But no, continue.
Verse 2, for verily desire of gain, for verily desire of gain devised that, and the workman built it by his skill. But thy providence, O Father, governeth it, for thou hast made a way in the sea, and a safe path in the waves, showing that thou canst save from all danger, yea, though a man went to sea without art. Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved.
So when it talks about the raging waves, that would be the Atlantic Ocean. The vessel that it's talking about, that would be the Santa Maria. And when it says that he, a man went to sea without art, that means skill or experience doing so. So, that's all referring to Columbus. At this point, can you grab verses 12 through 15? Because we had mentioned Rodrigo Borgia earlier, and I found it very interesting that, he played a major role in this, because that papal bull of 1493 that allowed them to conquer and colonize Spain and Portugal, and then as well as what he's referred to in this verse as well. So you if you have that.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. For by the vain glory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he hath made an image of his child soon taken away, now honored him as a god, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him in ceremonies and sacrifices.
So, the father in that verse, that would be Rodrigo Borgia. The image of his child that he honored as a god, that would be Cesar Borgia. Leo, if you can, just Google Cesar Borgia so they can understand, if they're not in the truth, what image this is that he made.
This is according to Wikipedia, a picture of Cesar Borgia, or Borgia, depending on how you pronounce it, or Borgia. That's him. Looks very familiar.
He kind of looks like some guy that should be on like a missing poster in like a church somewhere. But we saw him a lot growing up. So that's what it's referring to in that verse. That was his son that he made into the image of who we know that is our Messiah in the scriptures, but they made him into their image, just like Maccabees says that they would do. So now referring to this slavery that has happened with Esau, can you get Ben? Can you grab Deuteronomy 28 and 68?
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And it reads, And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
So, when it talks about no man shall buy you, we know that means no man shall redeem you. When it talks about being sold unto Egypt again, Ben, actually, I think it'll be good. Can you grab Exodus 20 and 2, just so they understand, what we were doing in Egypt? We weren't up there, playing games and having a great time. Like, what were we doing in Egypt?
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt. Okay.
Oh, no, so when they talk about Egypt in the scriptures, or Matazarium in the Hebrew, that just basically means, captivity, slavery. So the Bible's even specific on where the 10 tribes came and, where this captivity would take place. So in order for us to get, to this point, matter of fact, can you get Jeremiah 50 and read verses 33 through 34? Just because it was prophesied that all of the 12 tribes would have to be oppressed together. So we know that we would all have to be in like the same landmass. So, our slavery that we're covering now under Esau started in 1619, but the 10 tribes that were already here, theirs started in like 1492. So.
And that was 33 and 34? This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 33. Chapter 50 and 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go. Verse 34. Their Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon.
So that once again we would be oppressed together on this landmass. So there are scriptures going into where that landmass is. So actually, I wanted to get next Revelations chapter 6 verse 8.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 6 and verse 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth.
So, this goes into the fourth part of the earth, and I have an article that we're going to go into to get into that as well. But, this pale horse was, colonization. Like, it shows that death followed him. He killed with a sword and with hunger. Just like if you even go through like conventional history, and it talks about with like the Native Americans and what they did to like the buffalo, which would have been like a major food supply for the Native Americans. they killed a lot of them to like cut off their food supply. So that would go into the with hunger. So yeah. But the fourth part of the earth, there was like a map maker from 1507 that came out with like a very specific locale for like this. But oh, perfect. Leo has up on the screen like the buffalo and like these are like the atrocities that they did to like the Native Americans. Look at all those skulls and bones just sitting there.
Yeah, and then there's something here. 1 second. There's something here. It's from May 2016. Kill every buffalo you can. Every dead buffalo is an Indian gone. The American bison is the new national mammal, but its slaughter was once seen as a way to starve Native Americans into submission. So, that's a damn shame. Excuse me.
No, you're good. It really it can be very vexing at times because a lot of times we'll bring this information out and our people still not understand we have enemies. And this is like a spiritual battle that we're fighting. And, we can't make alliances with these people because, just like the Native Americans, for example, that's a good example. They made over like 300 treaties with them and they broke every single one of them. So,
yeah,
can't trust your enemy, just like the scriptures say. Oh, can you grab that article on like the fourth part of the earth? I think I sent it to you. It should be like the one that's the Library of Congress.
Check real quick. Excuse me. Yeah, it was more of a video. Yeah, here it goes right here. It's from the same.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna play the video. The video was like an hour.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is it. Okay. The fourth part of the world, the race to the ends of the earth, and the epic story of the map that gave America its name. Okay.
Yeah, so in Revelations where it talks about like the fourth part of the earth, that's talking about the Americas. I will butcher this man's last name, but it was 1507, and his name was Martin Wildesmuller. Yeah, but that was the map maker that made the map, deeming America the fourth part of the earth.
I can read it real quick. In 1507, Martin Waldseemüller created a map that depicted what was then known as the fourth part of the world. The other three parts being Asia, Europe, and Africa. 1,000 copies were printed, but only one remains, discovered by accident in the library of a German castle in 1901. 102 years later, the Library of Congress purchased it for $10 million, an unprecedented sum. When Toby Lester heard about the map, he set out on a journey to tell the story how the map was created and eventually came to the Library of Congress. The result is the fourth part of the world, the race to the ends of the earth, and the epic story of the map that gave America its name. Free Press, 2009.
Con. So, now we've gone over both slave trades. We've gone over how, it's interesting how this chronology works out also. This is just something I noticed in my studying, that, Ishmael was, it goes Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Ishmael was the brother of Isaac, and they would be the first people to take us into a major slave trade. As we went over before, Ishmael was rejected. Esau is Jacob's brother. That would have made him like second in order, and he was the second people to take us into a major slave trade. Even in the Bible in Psalms 83, when we went over that, these are our top two enemies of God and enemies of God's people. So it's just interesting in order. They've both taken us into captivity. It's like the last one. Well, actually, there were captivities in like ancient times, but I'm talking about like modern, like post-Bible times. These are the two people that have taken us into slavery. And if somebody can get Revelations 18 and 13, because now we've established the place that will be in captivity, you know, they came over in West Africa and took, the southern kingdom, but the northern kingdom tribes, the Hispanics and the native tribes, were already here. So,
you said
talk about something.
I'm sorry, Revelations 18, what?
Chapter 13.
Oh, chapter 13. Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
I mean, I said it wrong. Chapter 18, verse 13.
Okay.
So, my bad.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 18 and verse 13. And cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men.
So these are things that the Bible calls it Babylon the Great, but it's colloquially known as America. These are things that it's going to sell in. So we see slaves and souls of men. Somebody might ask, well, how do they, make merchants of souls of men? And I would say through a lot of the, movies that they make based on like their fake understandings of like scriptures or their religious systems. Like they have a lot of ways, like church is big business. So they have a lot of different ways to make money off of the souls of men.
Taxes.
Taxes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in the last 3 different passages I'm going to go to, just deal with like the punishment that's going to come to this place for having, the Most High's children in captivity. So if somebody can grab 2nd Ezra, chapter 12, verses 1 through 3.
Okay, 2nd Ezra.
Because we know that, the national bird of this place, just like it's been in Rome and I think Spain as well, is the eagle. So
yeah,
this is getting.
No, I'm sorry. Real quick, I can pull that up. That's every European nation. You just type in the eagle. As a national symbol. And then, I mean, that's definitely the 10 horns. And then, we know America. And then the Arabs got that too. But that's a national symbol in other countries. Well, 1 second, because here you go, Germany. that's Germany. That's Mexico. That's Rome. Here we go. There's more. That's Montenegro. That's Moldova. Mexico. New Zealand doesn't have one, but in other, bald eagle as and take out national, because when you type in national as a symbol in other countries, it's gonna bring up America. So yeah, mainly America, but yeah, it's Rome, it's Spain, it's Germany, like all the 10. I mean, that's Russia, but their main is the bear. But yeah, a lot of the European countries have the eagle as their national symbol, national emblem.
No, Con, bring that up. No, good point. Good point.
Okay.
So
yeah, here we go. Okay. United States, Egypt, Palestine, Iraq, Yemen, Indonesia, Dubai, Syria, Montenegro, Austria, Moldova, Armenia. Where else? Yeah, here we go. Poland, Romania, Russia, Albania, Serbia, Sudan, Syria, Thailand. Yeah, everybody except, the true nation of Israel.
Oh, God. It's kind of crazy how, this prophecy works. All these nations just got together and just decided to, make their logo like the eagle. It's just, but yeah, if anybody has Second Ezra, chapter 12, verses 1 through 3.
This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 12, from the top. And it came to pass, while the lion spake these words unto the eagle, I saw, and behold, the head that remained, and the four wings appeared no more. And the two went unto it, and set themselves up to reign. And their kingdom was small, and filled of uproar. And I saw, and behold, they appeared no more. And the whole body of the eagle was burnt, so that the earth was in great fear. Then awaked I out of the trouble and trance of my mind, and from great fear, and said unto my spirit.
So, it's talking about that whole body of the eagle being burnt so that the earth was in great fear. That's talking about it being destroyed with thermonuclear destruction. And if you can grab Jeremiah, read Jeremiah 50, verse 9. Yeah, the rest of these will just be punishment scriptures for what's going to happen to the place that oppressed, the Most High's chosen people all in one, location.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, and verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain.
So, that's talking about, when it says it's arrows, that's talking about missiles. So when it says that none will return vain, meaning none of them are going to miss. This place is going to be Swiss cheese, well, thermonuclear Swiss cheese. So none of those missiles will miss. If you can grab verse 14 as well.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, and verse 14. Put yourselves in array against Babylon, round about, all yet that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord.
So this is talking about as well, verse 9 talked about them shooting at Babylon, and this is as well, but this is saying that they won't even spare any missiles, they're emptying the clip on America at this point, because it deserves it, because it sinned against God. Just two more scriptures, just real quick, is, can you grab Jeremiah 51 and verse 11? All of these are end time Babylon destruction type scriptures. So I wanted to end with these before we lead into what's happening today with Israel and Palestine. on like the final part on part 3.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51 and verse 11. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple.
So when you go into like the Medes, from my research, they stayed in northern. Where was it? Leo, I think I might need you for this one with like the geography. I don't remember the Medes. I'm looking it up again.
The Medes, I mean, that's modern day Persia.
Yeah, okay, I was correct.
Modern day Iran. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, correct. So, it's talking about them stirring up the Medes against Babylon, which we're going to really cover on part 3, really, because that's a major part of what's happening with the conflict in Israel with Palestine. It's just a lot of prophecy that's taking place that's going to lead to the destruction of America. But I wanted to get through like a lot of the historical aspect that some people may not know, so we can bring it to today. I only have one more scripture. If somebody can get Zechariah 14 and verse 12.
You said Zechariah?
Con.
Verse 15.
No, I said 14.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, 14 verse 12.
This is the book of Zechariah, verse 14, chapter 14 and verse 12. And this shall be a plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away, and their holes, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth.
Con. So when I read this, like the only thing that I can think of is like a nuclear explosion. So Leo, if you can pull up on the screen, it's a scene from not Transformers. It's that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Terminator 2.
Yeah, I think you probably already know the scene I'm talking about.
Yeah, so this is it right here. The one where she's getting blown away.
Yeah, if it'll allow us, if it's short enough, you might as well just like play it just real quick.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem.
praises coming to America. But yeah, all praises. Yeah, that that was a powerful depiction of what will happen to Babylon in the last days.
Con. Is that it for today? You have anything else you want to cover, or you want to save the rest for next
Matter
week?
of fact, seeing that brought one more precept, and it's in Jeremiah 51 as well. I can grab it if well, Ben, are you there? Can you get Jeremiah 51 and 58?
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, and verse 58. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the broad walls of Babylon shall be utterly broken, and her high gates shall be burned with fire. And the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, and they shall be weary.
So, that movie was a depiction, but that's going to be real, soon coming. We're going to get more into that in part 3, but just wanted to provide a lot of like the historical background through these first 2 parts, once again, just to get us to what's going on today. So if anybody else, if any of the brothers have like a precept or like a point that they want to bring out, go for it.
Nah, I'm good for now.
Okay, no, Con, yeah,
that was a really good overview of that was really good. Okay, all praise to the Most High.
All praises to the Most High. Good historical context with sources.
No, Con, I appreciate that. All praise to the Father. Yeah, so with that, we can wrap up for today. Do part 3 next week. Lord willing, this was edifying. Shalom.
Shalom, family. I'll get this to you so you can post it. But yeah, we'll be back for the next time to go more into this Bible prophecy. Thank you for coming. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Again, shout out to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Peace and blessings be upon you. Stay in the faith. Stay patient. We have to keep enduring until this place is destroyed and we are at least in the wilderness with each other. Kwam Yasharallah. Shalom.
Hey, shalom.